Mary just came back on, so.
I'll be happy to.
Great.
Who was that?
Diane.
Thank you.
Diane, before we start, so I don't mess up your name later on, how do you say your last name correctly?
Inglet.
Inglet? Okay.
Inglet, yes.
All right. I can't screw that up too bad.
Thanks for asking.
Are we waiting on the end of the other meeting or waiting? We're still waiting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
There's someone in, I can't pronounce this. It's SHRUTI. Can you identify yourself, please?
Hi, yes, it's Shruti. I am an architect. I work with Hybrid One Construction.
She's at the contractor.
Yeah.
North of the hill.
Yeah, one of my colleagues is joining. I guess he's here in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's here. It's Dalal.
I apologize, everybody, for the delay. We're still sorting through some technical issues. Please stand by.
Wow, it's right there if you need anything.
I let her out a while ago.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
It's Macy. Macy came in, but I don't know if Molly did.
Okay, I apologize for the delays, Mr. Chair. We're ready to go.
Okay, excellent. Alrighty. I now call the January 20th, 2021 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Item 3, public comment. Citizens who desire to address the board with regard to matters on the agenda will be read and or received at this time. Members of the public desiring to make comments during this portion of the meeting will be allowed to submit their written comments to the office of the city secretary. Written comments must be received by 3 p.m. Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. City of Sugar Land reserves the right to remove any written or emailed comments deemed inappropriate and or not related to matters posted on the agenda. Comments or discussion by the board will only be made at the time the subject is scheduled for consideration. Are there any public comments that were submitted?
No, sir, we did not receive any.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. No comments. We will move forward to item 4, minutes. Consideration of an action on the minutes of the December 16th, 2020 meeting. Does anyone have any corrections? Not seeing or hearing any. Do I have a motion? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Schwab. Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. We will do the vote via roll call. So I will go through if you can give a yay or a nay when you hear your name. Mr. Schwab?
Yay.
Miss Lindsay?
Yay.
Ms. Morden? Mr. Morden?
Yay!
And Miss Inglet?
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay. So the minutes unanimously are approved. Thank you. Moving forward, item 5A, public hearing. Receive and hear
Mr.
all
Chair,
persons.
if
Yes.
I could ask you to stand at ease right quick. My PowerPoint just froze up. Give me one second,
okay.
please.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, picking back up where we were. Item 5A, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 3446 Amphora Circle, Lot 7, Block 1, Austin Park, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Ms. Waller.
Yes.
Hello.
So first special exception this evening is in the R1 standard district. This is in Austin Park, Section 2. You've had a couple of special exceptions over here on locust and water locust, black locust and water locust. So this is fairly familiar territory. It was platted in 1983 and annexed in 1995, and they are proposing a patio cover that would connect the rear of the home to the front of the garage. Next slide. The recorded plat established an 8-foot rear utility easement, but R1 zoning requires a 15-foot rear yard setback. The existing garage is about 10 feet from the rear property line and currently connected via a breezeway. However, because the proposed patio cover would connect directly from the rear of the home to the garage, this does trigger the garage to be considered primary structure, and thus needing to meet that 15-foot setback. The special exception would allow the patio cover to be built, let the garage remain in place at 10 feet from the rear property line. Next slide. So here's a site plan highlighted in yellow. You can see there the patio cover that will cover that back corner of the home and connect to the front of the garage, as well as the 10-foot distance between the garage and the rear property line. Next slide. Here's the elevations. So this was a computer-generated 3D image, as well as in the builder notes, you can see the matching existing materials there. So I did want to make sure that that was included here with the elevations, as that's where we normally see it. Next slide. Google Excerpt. So the home here in question is where you can see the white car in the driveway. just a second, and I will point to it. So the patio cover would be approximately in this location. Arrow, are you there? Maybe not. Okay.
Is it the car in the sun or the car in the shade?
The car in the sun.
Okay.
So I was trying to point to where the patio cover would be, but it seems that the Zoom is not functioning with us greatly today.
No worries.
Just to the left, off center, that is the home with the car in the driveway under the bright sun, and then the patio cover would go in the approximately
open spot
triangle shape there at the rear of the house in the front of the garage.
Okay.
Next slide. So here you can see the approved special exceptions, as well as the 5 in yellow are homes that appear to have a less than 15-foot setback. That is primarily, again, because of a wider than 6-foot breezeway connection. So they tend to have patio covers between the house and the garage. This does appear to be architecturally compatible, and as I mentioned, there are 3 special exceptions in the map itself, 2 of which you approved last year. Next slide. This does meet all the first 3 standard criteria. As to the 4th criteria, staff sees no apparent issues. Next slide. All of the public hearing requirements were met. HOA notified and mailer sent out to property owners within 200 feet, as well as an online form made available. We did receive 1 phone inquiry, but staff is not aware of any opposition to the special exception. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the special exception with the condition that the patio cover is constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. And we have the contractor on, as well as staff, to answer any questions after the public hearing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, we'll open the public hearing. And I know Laura mentioned the contractor is on the line. Do you have any desire to speak? Any type of presentation you want to give?
You're muted, Mr. Aber.
Okay, I'll take the silence as no. You're not required to, so that's perfect. Anybody else?
Here we go. I'm sorry. I'm here to answer any questions. I'll answer any questions you guys have. I think we have pretty much everything self-explanatory. So whatever you might have.
Yeah, definitely. If anything arises, we can swear you in and ask you questions. Mm-hmm. Anyone else on the line that would like to speak at this public hearing? Not hearing or seeing anybody, we will close the public hearing, and we'll move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 3446 and Forest Circle, Lot 7, Block 1, Austin Park, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. This time we'll go through the 4 criteria that Laura touched on. First criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1983, and the property was annexed in 1995. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code, Chapter 2. The recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, and the R1 district required a setback of not less than 15 feet for primary structures. We're in agreement with that?
Yes.
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 Okay, great, thank you. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As we heard, the recorded plat for this property established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. The applicant is not proposing to encroach on that 8-foot rear yard setback easement, and the special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than the setback that is established on the plats. We're in agreement with that criteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the final 4th criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Obviously, we heard Laura's comments on that. Does any of the board have any concerns with this fourth criteria? Or I'll go ahead and open it up. Also, is there any questions or comments that any of the board members have?
No questions.
Okay, not hearing anybody. Just Laura, a quick question and probably self-explanatory. You mentioned the one inquiry. I assume that was just an informational call. Just wondering what the sign was. Okay. Okay. I don't have any questions at the moment, so we will continue moving forward. It's important to note, as Laura went through, staff has examined the proposed special exception for three key aspects. The first key aspect is a public safety review. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second being, as it relates to the proposal in the neighborhood, looking at the rear yard setback comparison. Note that the proposed patio cover addition appears to be compatible with the neighborhood based on an analysis of the surrounding area. As Laura mentioned, there appear to be 5 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 15 feet. And there are 3 approved similar special exceptions in the area. And the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and restrictions. And the final key aspect relates to the proposal in the neighborhood from a general architectural standpoint. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and neighborhood, and elevations obviously have been included in the presentation and can be included in the motion. So we've gone through the 4 criteria. We've touched on the 3 key aspects that staff has examined. Any other comments, questions, concerns, thoughts from any of the board members? If not hearing any, we can move forward. And is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Schwab.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 3446 M4 Circle, Lot 7, Block 1, Austin Park, Section 2, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Schwab. We have a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Okay, a second from Karen. We will roll call this, and so when you hear your name, please give a yay or nay. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Miss Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
Miss Inglet.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is also yay. So the special exception is unanimously passed. Thank you, board. Thank you, Mr. Weber.
Thank you. Thank you, board.
Moving forward, item
Mr.
5.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I apologize again.
No,
My Zoom and laptop have both frozen up right now, so I am calling in for backup here. So if you could bear with us for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm calling in backup to help me get this PowerPoint back up. Stand by, please.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I think we're back in business. Natalie's going to walk you guys through the rest of the way.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry about the delay. Thank you, sir.
No, sorry that you're having issues. I appreciate that. Okay, moving forward, we'll pick back up and we'll start with the next public hearing. Item 5B, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4003 Thistle Hill Court, Lot 6, Block 3, Sweetwater, Section 4, in the restricted single-family residential R1R district. Laura, you are back up.
So this area, you just actually looked at a home on the corner of Monticello last month. So this is the same area, Greatwood Trails. Excuse me, sorry, that's incorrect. It's Sweetwater Section 4. This will be R1R zoning. It was platted in 1995 and annexed in 1997. The proposal is both a residential and patio cover addition. Next slide. The recorded plat did establish an 8-foot rear utility easement along the rear property line. However, R1R zoning requires a 30-foot setback. The existing home is actually only 20 feet and 8 inches from the rear property line. So the home as it exists does not meet the 30-foot rear yard setback. The addition will be to the rear of the house, and it'll extend the living room and add a patio cover on the first floor, as well as adding a bedroom and ensuite to the second floor. The special exception would allow the patio cover and residential addition to meet the utility easement as the rear yard setback rather than the 30-foot zoning that's required. There is an HOA required setback that is of 15 feet. However, because of the lot layout for this specific site, the rear property line as defined by our code is different from the rear property line as defined by the HOA. So we'll get a little bit more into that whenever we have the survey pulled out to look at. Next slide. So here you can see on the left side of the sheet is where the 8-foot build line and utility easement, that would be where the addition is and what the city would be would consider the rear of the property line. However, the HOA has claimed that the other property line, the 5th line, which is an extra one along the bottom of the image, is where the 15-foot build line would be per HOA deed restrictions. So because of the difference in definition of rear, this house and this addition on this rear corner back here in the upper left-hand side would be allowed to meet the rear yard special exception without having to have the 15-foot build line because of the HOA definition. So all of that to say that the HOA 15-foot build line does not come into play with this corner of the house. It would be if the addition was on the upper side. Next slide. These are the proposed exterior elevations, and all of the materials are called out to match the existing home. Next slide. Here's the Google excerpt. So this area, you can see all the homes have a pool, but it's the home that's on the far right side, right before you get to the road. That is going to be the home in question. The addition would be on the side next to their nearest neighbor, where rather than the area that backs up to the street. So I believe that is why the HOA considered that that other backyard, that other rear line, the rear, because of the road that's behind it. However, based on the definition in the code, the rear property line is actually the lot that's directly to the south, according to this picture. Next slide. So here's the aerial photograph. You can see approximately 6 homes do not meet the rear yard setback of 30 feet. And there are 3 approved special exceptions in the area, most notably Monticello there on the corner, which you approved last month. Next slide. This does meet all of the first 3 standard special exception criteria. And as to the 4th, staff does not see any apparent issues. Next slide. The public hearing requirements were all met. The HOA was notified, as well as mailers sent to the property owners within 200 feet. An online form was made available, and we did receive one inquiry via that online form. It was attached in your staff report. That was from the neighbor that would be of most concern, immediately adjacent to the addition, and they had no issues. So long as the home was not coming closer, it was just going further back, they had no issues. So staff is not aware of any opposition to the special exception. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the residential and patio cover addition with the conditions it is constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevation. Again, we have the contractor on hand. If you have any questions for them, staff is also available for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. I know the contractor is present. Do you have any desire to speak or have any type of presentation you would desire to make?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. We don't have a comment. We will be looking forward to any questions the board might have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else on the line that would like to speak at this public hearing? Not hearing or seeing any hands raised, we will close the public hearing and we'll move forward to consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4003 Thistle Hill Court, Lot 6, Block 3, Sweetwater, Section 4, in the restricted single-family residential R1R district. This time we'll go through the 4 criteria. First criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. As we heard, the plat was recorded in 1995 and the property was annexed in 1997. We're in agreement with those facts?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code, Chapter 2. As we saw, the recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement. In comparison, the R1R district requires a 30-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. We're in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. The third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. As we heard, obviously the current recorded plat established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. Obviously the applicant is not proposing to encroach on that 8-foot utility easement. Further, the special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established on the plat or other recorded restrictions. We're in agreement with those facts?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Any questions, comments, concerns about public welfare or injurious to the property? Or are there any other questions, comments that any of the board members have at the moment?
Can we go back to that deal with the HOA and the 15-foot?
Yes. I figured you might need to.
Oh, thank you. So, are they okay with this? I mean, or is this
Yes.
still?
HOA has approved it.
Okay, so because even if they had a 15-foot setback in some of their restrictions, since the most lenient setback is that 8-foot setback, we still would just go with the 8-foot setback, right?
No, we would go with the recorded restrictions, no matter what they are. So in this case, it would be 8 and 15 because the deed restrictions are recorded. So it would have to meet the 15-foot.
Okay, that was my next question. Those are recorded.
Yes.
They're deed restrictions, right? They're not just somebody's notes on the back of an envelope.
Correct.
Okay, so we would take the
at that point, the
most
special
restrictive
exception.
one, the 15-foot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they're okay with the 8-foot, and I'll shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Herb. Actually, it's not really a question. I've looked at it before the meeting and then just looking at it. Can we look at the elevations again? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page in terms of what exactly, I mean, I think it's common, there's some common sense factor to it, but can we go back to,
Natalie, can you pull that up in the presentation? Should be the elevation slide.
Yeah, 1 second.
Sorry, Natalie.
No problem at all. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
This one, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so are we saying the rear elevation is the rear of the house that's being extended?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so is it that entire section that I'm looking at to the,
The entire thing would be
from left to right that completes all the whole entire length
Yes,
of the
you
house?
can see the patio cover there on the right side, and then that
Yeah.
is the residential addition there before you get to the patio cover and second floor balcony.
Okay. All right, cool. So it's basically there's in essence, actually, I guess looking at the side elevation, that actually shows me a better sense. Okay, I understand. So they're adding on, and then obviously to the side they're adding on the patio and the patio cover, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that I was looking at this correctly. All right, thanks, Natalie. Okay. Any other questions, comments at the moment? If not, is everybody okay with that fourth criteria? Anybody have any concerns with that? Okay, not hearing any, I will take that as a no. And so we'll move forward. Obviously, we've touched on the four criteria. It's also important to note that staff has examined the proposed special exception for three key aspects. The first one being the public safety review. There does not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second key aspect relates to the proposal in the neighborhood, specific to the rear yard setback comparison. As we touched on, the proposed residential and patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single-family residence. As Laura mentioned, there appear to be 6 homes in the area that do not meet the rear setback of 30 feet. There are 3 approved special exceptions in the overall area as well. Finally, the proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third key aspect, as it relates to the proposal in the neighborhood from a general architectural standpoint, the proposed residential and patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and elevations that we've seen can be included in the motion. So we've gone through the criteria, touched on the 3 key aspects. Any lingering questions, concerns, comments from anyone on the board? Not hearing any. Just Laura, just to touch on the phone call. No issue from that inquiry?
No, not at all.
Okay, perfect. Okay. If no other questions or comments, we can move forward, and I will ask if there is a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I heard Miss Lindsay first, so you get it.
Okay. I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirements and the restricted single-family residential R1R district for the property located at 4003 Thistle Hill Court, Lot 6, Block 3, Sweetwater, Section 4, be granted with the conditions that the residential and patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Karen. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is that you, Josh? Okay, awesome. We have a motion and a second. We will vote, and we'll do roll call as we've done earlier. When you say your name, a yay or nay, please. Mr. Schwab.
Yay.
Miss Lindsay.
Yay.
Mr. Morden.
Yay.
Miss Inglet.
Yay.
And Mr. LaRocca is a yay as well. The special exception is unanimously passed. Thank you, everyone, for your involvement on this special exception. Moving forward to the final item, item 6, adjournment. Is there a motion?
I move we adjourn.
Excellent motion from Herb. Is there a second?
I second.
As we've done previously, we'll do the hand raise to everybody in favor of adjournment. Okay, perfect. Unanimous. At this time, the January 20th, 2021 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting is adjourned. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate your patience.
No sweat. Thanks for